Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is part 8 of my series where I talk about wargaming clubs, and today I'm talking about building and storing terrain and gaming equipment. Pretty much for wargaming, you're going to need some terrain, game boards, and mats. They're kind of the three components. Good terrain makes for great games, so actually having some really nice terrain helps set off a club, and that actually makes a club really, really good. So when we set up our club, I brought in a load of my terrain to begin with. It's fairly generic, and it was mainly woods and buildings and hedges for kind of medieval period, Renaissance through Napoleonics. Still do for World War II. And that was predominantly 28mm. We play a lot of epic battles, so we've looked at getting sort of smaller scale terrain as well. One of the things we did discover was we didn't have much in the way of hills, so we did invest some of the club funds in hills, and polystyrene hills with green. In fact, this is our terrain right now. You can see it's all stored, all organised via kind of area. So we've got a desert, we've got some desert terrain, we've got generic sort of trees, hedges, we've got sort of World War II buildings. Anyway, so yes, and when you're thinking about what a club needs, you've got to think about what scales, what periods get played in your club. Do you need sort of modern World War II terrain? Do you need fantasy and science fiction terrain? Do you need, medieval terrain? What does that look like? Think about the games that are getting played, who's playing them, and what do you need? So at the start, I talked about doing research, talking to your players. Maybe if you are going to start a new club project and you all say, we're going to jump into the new Epic Battles American War of Independence, then some of that club funds can be put towards getting some suitably scaled terrain and buildings, and maybe it's become a bit of a club project of building it together. So there's three things you've kind of got to sort of balance: is time and effort put into making it, the playability of the terrain, and the storage potential of the terrain. Time and effort. Some people love making terrain, but you are talking about for a club, so it's not a personal project. Playability, does it do what you need it to do on the battlefield? Does it support the games that you need to play? So, for example, maybe you've got a game which requires lots of line of sight blockers, then you're going to need a lot more terrain than if you're after a big open battlefield like you see in front of you, epic battles. And finally, storage. How are you going to store it? We keep it in really useful boxes. Does the terrain go into storage? Will it get broken? Will it get bust up? I brought some MDF jungle fight terrain, a couple of houses on stilts and like a watchtower. And when it's not your terrain, a club's terrain, it doesn't get handled very well, gets thrown into boxes, gets sugared around. My watchtower, the MDF watchtower from Sarissa, is just bits right now. So that's something to think about. When you're making terrain, a couple of things to think about is DIY versus building terrain. DIY is probably going to be cheaper making terrain, budget friendly, homemade options, but you're going to have to engage your club members to do that. Maybe you're the person that does everything in the club. Maybe you're happy to do that. Maybe you've got the time to do that. Happy days. But actually think about, can you engage more people? More people, more ownership means it gets looked after better, and everybody feels part of a bigger whole. Store-bought kits that you put together, quicker, easier to assemble. Sometimes you're getting buildings now which have got MDF with already coloured and stuff in it. So you can just take it out of box, put on. Gale Force 9 do a wonderful range of 15mm battlefield in a box stuff, which I adore. It's got a bit of a price tag to it, but it's ready to go out there, put on the table, and it looks good. But think about how you're going to store that, how it's going to get looked after, and what boxes do you have to keep things in. Storage solutions. So packing boxes things that stack are really useful. In fact, really useful boxes are really useful. If they weren't too expensive when they get big, there you go. Storage solutions, as you can see, ours are in boxes that can pack. We've clearly labelled what's in the box. As you're setting up, you can get stuff out of a box, and hopefully towards the end of the night, you can put stuff away in the right box. With the best will in the world, stuff won't go back into the right box. So every couple of months, set aside a wee bit of time just to get on those boxes, sort them out, see what might need repaired, and put back together. The other thing is maybe you don't have a fixed venue with storage. So that's where you're going to rely on the goodwill of players to bring terrain to you. Like say for me, this board here, one of our members puts together. He loves making boards and he brings in some beautiful boards. A lot of our members bring in some brilliant boards, take great pride in putting on a really nice board. So if you are in a venue where you don't have storage, maybe the solution is the players bring their own terrain. Something I didn't talk about, find suitable venue is accessibility. Luckily, we've got parking outside our venue, dead easy to pull up in a car and deliver that. If you've got a venue in a city centre where that's not as easy, then people bringing terrain becomes an issue, because terrain is probably the bulkiest thing you're going to carry to games. So there we have it, building and storing terrain and gaming equipment. Ultimately think about what you need, think about what your budget is, and think about how you include all the members into achieving that. And again, if you're going to have stuff owned by a club, what does your club charter say about if your club folds, where that terrain goes, who owns it? Best to have it written down in advance to stop any arguments in the future. But anyway, next time we'll cover creating a welcoming environment and handling conflicts. And I look forward to chatting to you in another video. Oh, one final piece for terrain. Have it so it's easy to deploy, easier to get out, find, and put on the tabletop. You know, theoretically, I've seen some terrain that you kind of can put together, put it down flat pack, and every time you play a game, put it together. Again, that's time for setting up, that's breaking down, and your club might not have that time. Anyway, that's enough for me talking about terrain. Like I say, I look forward to chatting to you in the next video. If you've got any interesting solutions on terrain or any interesting thoughts on terrain, love to hear it. But anyway, I'll chat to you in another video. That's goodbye for now. Goodbye.